So in this video, we're talking about the three key documents we use for planning our business. So when it comes to planning the business to meet your future vision, there are three main documents that will help you to do this: the personal plan, the detailed business plan, and the one-page business plan. We'll look at each one individually. First is the personal plan. All of these documents I'm talking about here, I've included a template copy you can download and use yourself. And this is really just a guide. If you don't like what I've called a particular section, or maybe you want to add another section because you can better understand it, or because it flows better for you, that's okay. Take what you need from this and make it yours. You could even get a graphic designer involved to jazz it up a bit if you want as well. But the personal plan is a document that everyone in the business should complete once a year. This is the first document you'll start with. By everyone in the business doing it, it means you're more likely to be all aligned and driving in the same direction. Whereas you might discover from this process that someone is less focused on business and career and instead perhaps on emigrating to another country. But by knowing that, you might even include their plans in your own business planning. Maybe you might arrange for them to work from abroad. That way you both get what you want. Or alternatively, maybe your plans, you was expecting them to be some senior person in your business driving it 5 years from now, but they aren't going to be around. So the six key areas we look at in the personal plan are financial, home life, business and career, health, personal development, and spiritual. And each section is divided into two halves. On the right-hand side of each section, you'll see goals. So this is what you'd like to see sometime in the next 5 to 10 years. And you want to pick three goals for each section. Each of these goals really want to be tangible goals that you can measure. So it's a clear answer of whether you've reached it or not. Then after you've got the goals listed, now the left-hand column is about the habits relating to each of those goals. This isn't about actions or milestones along the way to reach those goals. This is thinking about what daily habits you need to have in order to reach that goal. What daily habits would that future you be doing every day to be living that goal, having achieved it? So, for example, maybe your health goal is to lose 30 kilos. So one of the habits to achieving that would be to walk every day for 1 hour. Maybe you might be able to achieve that by walking to work instead of driving, or maybe the habit could be cycling every day instead. So that's the habit. By the way, for every section and every goal and habit, you need to step inside that as if you're living it in the future you, and see if all of these areas work together. For example, if your finances say you want to double your income, but your home life says you want to have a baby, then well, they might not align with each other. So you've got to make sure none of these end up working against each other. And then one final thing to think about: if you're married or in a long-term relationship, maybe ask your partner to fill it in, even though they might not be involved in your business, but to do it separate to you as well. And that way you can see how you each align together, as well as where you both see your life going. So after you've listed a habit for each goal, you've completed this section. Now you want to review every person's personal goals in the business and see how you can help them achieve some of those goals through the business. At this stage, you're less interested in what their habits are that they've listed. It's the goals that you're most interested in and most important. And you want to just keep them in mind as you move into the next document called the detailed business plan. Now, I'm not a fan of generic business plans, especially the type that are 100+ pages long. Most of it is just make believe, and as soon as one assumption changes in that plan, you basically have to rewrite the whole thing. But the problem with having no plan at all is people don't really know why they're there, and sometimes they have no direction. So we created a plan where each area of the business has its own mini plan, maybe a couple of pages each, and then these all tie in together. So this way, everyone's moving towards the same result, and it's a visual way of communicating the big plan to everyone in the business and letting them see how their actions will impact that plan. Now, in the document we've included, it's about 30 pages long, and it's created as an A3 size document to give you plenty of room to write in. And the first section we look at here is the first couple of pages. The first thing is to think about a theme. Imagine your life was a movie. What would the next 3 years of your life be in that movie? Maybe it's about dominating your industry. Maybe it's coming back from the brink of bankruptcy. What theme would you like this plan to be about over the next 12 months? The second page is the cap table. Now, this just states who owns the business and how much they own. Generally, if this is an internal document, you don't really need this part, unless people like to keep track of it. But if you're sending it out to external parties, such as the bank or investors or maybe some suppliers, then they'll want to see what the ownership structure is for the business. After you've done this, next is the analysis section. We need to analyze each part of the business as well as customers and competitors, because we want to identify what the opportunities are, but also what problems we might have in the future as well. Now, some of these you'll have already done some work on in the intelligence stage as an impact foundation, but others you might need to dig deeper and spend a bit more time on. When it comes to the SWOT analysis, this we've adapted from a traditional SWOT analysis. So if you've not done a SWOT analysis before, this is about looking at your business with an impartial, unbiased view to identify its strengths, be honest about its weaknesses. What are you poor at? What are the constant issues that keep coming up? What weaknesses do you have compared to your competitors? Maybe you can't offer what they offer. Maybe they're better finance than you are. All these things you need to list in the weaknesses section. Next is opportunities. What opportunities are there in the business? And you can normally find opportunities within this analysis section of the business plan. Maybe a weakness can be turned into an opportunity. Maybe a client has an opportunity for you to expand to a new location. So list all of your opportunities in there. Fourth is obstacles and threats. So what obstacles does the business have? What threats does it have that make it harder to reach where you want to reach? And maybe you're competing on price against your competitors and they keep undercutting you. Again, this might also lead to an opportunity as well. And finally, trends. What's happening in your industry? What's happening in your customer's industry? What's happening in wider trends that might affect your business or your customer's business over the next 5 years? This again could lead to another opportunity. And then we have the PESTEL analysis. This analysis is about what's happening in the wider environment for the business. It's really things that you have no control over. So the first one is political. What laws and other political issues affect your business? What legislation is in the pipeline? Next is economic. What's happening with the economy? Is it heading into recession? What about interest rates? What about the cost of labor, etc.? I've written some pointers to think about in each section, so I won't go too deep into it here. But third is social. What's happening in the community? This section thinks about population growth or decline, as well as things like how people think. Are they pro-socialism, for example? Or what's the crime rates like? Fourth is technology. What's happening with technology and AI in your industry and in your customer's industry? Does this present a risk to your own business? Fifth is environmental. This is things like climate change and ESG reporting. What type of problems might your business have based on these environmental factors? For example, one business I spoke to last week, they told me that all new buildings had to have a full report done on the site, looking at conservation for the site before they'll get permission to build on it. This obviously adds cost to the project, but it also delays it. So how does these things affect your business and how might they affect it in the future? Sixth is legal. What laws are in place or coming into force, such as health and safety law, food standards law, food labeling laws, employment laws, etc.? How do these affect your business and how will they affect it in the future? And in some cases, things might not affect you as much now, but as your business grows, suddenly it has more laws or regulations to deal with. I'm not sure if it's still the same now, but about 25 years ago, it used to be that if you had less than 5 staff in a business, you only had to do very basic levels of health and safety paperwork. But as soon as you employed that 6th person, suddenly you've got all of this extra paperwork and time involved. Finally, 7th is ethical. This covers issues like child labor and corruption. Is this an issue for your business? Could it be a potential issue? Are you involved with corporate social responsibility, or maybe your clients are? So how does it affect their business? Maybe there's an opportunity to help them with it. And then the last section, I've left an empty box, which I've called the mitigation plan. And this is really for you to take notes, ideas, or strategies that might help you to reduce the impact of each section on your business. After we've finished the analysis and research, the next stage is to think about where we want to take the business over the next 10 years. This is about taking that information we've gathered in the personal plans and the information from that analysis, and then using it to guide our decision about where we want to go. So what does that look like? If you stated in your personal plan that you want to earn an extra £3,000 a month, how does that compare over to your business? What would your business need to be earning to afford that wage increase? The same applies to all of those other personal plans from other people in the business. Now, the more people you've got in the business, the harder it will be to meet everyone's goals. So you might want to use the personal goals of yourself and the other directors or shareholders in the business as that driving direction, and then work to just help the other staff as you drive the business forward. In most cases, there's probably not going to be anything that's too distant or different to the rest for the staff. The most extreme might be having a baby or emigrating to another country. The rest might just be based on moving house or getting a pay increase or some kind of training like that. So connect those visions together. What does that look like in the business? The next section in the vision section talks about strategies to reach that vision. Now you can do this now, or you can work through the other sections first and then collate them all together and come back to this at the end. But you probably want to have a focus for what you'll be working towards. Now, every section of the business will need to change for you to reach these new targets. So it's worth looking at what that change might be, because this will probably help decide the best strategies to use. So you might leave this here at this stage until you've gone through each section of the business and then come back to it to complete it. Now, ideally for each section of this plan, you'll have someone responsible for that part of the business. Here's a general guide of who might be responsible for each section. So the vision and product sections might be the leadership role. The marketing section is the customer role. Delivery capacity is the technical delivery role. The team section is the operations role, and the finance and supporting infrastructure and the infrastructure role. And then the roadmap section is done by all of them, but it's the operations role that's primarily responsible for kind of overseeing and putting it together. Now we're into the product section. First thing you'll see are 5 metrics that should be tracked. Now, as I said before, you can choose your own metrics, but I think these are some of the best. But every business is different, and you know which ones are the ones that drive your business the most. Now, each metric has a target and an actual. So you can use this in whatever makes most sense to you. You might have the target as a measure you're working towards, and the actual result is whatever the measure is right now or whenever you frequently review it. Or you might have the actual measure as a historic number, such as when the plan was created. I prefer the metric to be live though. So this one would always be updated every week or every month. Next is the product plan summary. This is the same in all sections. So I'll only talk about it in this one, but the same rules apply for each section. Now, in this part, it's just a summary of what your plans are for that section of the business. So in this case, it might say, based on customer demand and industry analysis, we will launch 3 new products in XYZ sectors. And then the rest of the section will show how that's scheduled to happen. And remember, all these sections, they should all align with that vision section you already created. They should all be directed to achieving that. Next is a summary of what products and services you already provide, what revenue they each have, how much profit they contribute to the business, and what your projections are for each of them over the coming years. And you can also list plans for new products in there as well. On the far left column where it says product category, this relates to the product ecosystem, which we'll cover in a different video. And next is the product calendar. So This is where you're going to schedule what you'll be doing each quarter from a product perspective, whether it's updating an existing product, doing some kind of product extension, or creating a brand new product. Okay, so what's a product extension? So imagine you've written a book telling people how to do something. Well, product extension would be taking that book and turning it into a training course. Another type of extension, imagine the Harry Potter films. Well, Harry Potter is the core product. So the initial product that was created was a book. And then the first movie, after the first movie, it was a product extension to create the rest of the movies. And then theme park rides, and then fancy dress costumes and toys and whatever else came after that. So that's what a product extension is. Now, in the product strategy part, you'll notice that the first column in the table is called issue. So if you think back to the improvement plan in the Impact Foundation, well, all those improvements you discovered, this is where you'll write them in each of the relevant sections of this plan. And then for each issue, you'll write an action that you're going to take to solve it. After you've covered the improvements, you can write some actions you're going to take regarding what you've already done or what you've already written above. The next section is the marketing and sales section. In the marketing and sales section of the plan, the first table we're looking at is the past results. Now, hopefully, you've already worked on this already in the intelligence section of the Impact Foundation. And this data is what gives us the guidance for the results we expect to get in the future. Now we look at our projected results, and this links up to all of the other sections in the business plan, from the delivery, the finance, the products, the support infrastructure, the team. They all link together. For example, if you project you're going to have 150,000 in sales next month, how many staff will that need? Which products will you sell for that? What supporting infrastructure will you need for it? How much money will you need for cash flow in that? And as far as this section is concerned, how many leads will you need to get? How much will it cost to get those leads? And what's the expected conversion rate? So you can use this past results to plan it all and right the way through. The marketing and sales section refers to levels 2 to 6 in the 10 C's framework. Community through to conversion. So the strategies you decide to work on in those sections is what you'll include here in this section. So next is the table relating to geography or sector. This is where you can target new sectors or geographies and manage the marketing process for each one individually. Next is the marketing calendar. So in the marketing calendar, you can choose a theme or a campaign or maybe events that you'll attend. Next is your list of top 25 customers. Now, if you've got individual customers, some of them might spend more frequently than others. But if they're all about the same, maybe you can split them into groups and just perform the process on each group instead. But if you have certain customers that spend significantly more than the rest, we need to manage those customers and have a plan for each one. So this is where we do that. And you'll notice the far right column leaves a space to write in what your plan is to manage them. And the final table is the marketing plan, which is the same process we talked about in the previous section.